Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Koch Korner, which is an interview series that hopes to inspire, educate, and entertain. Tonight's episode is very special. It will be all that and more. It was born of the fact because at Farmers Alley, we believe wholeheartedly that Black lives matter, and that is not always evident. We believe that Black voices matter, and they are not always heard. And in our quest to be an anti-racist organization, and if we want to discuss how to help the Black community move forward in equality, we want and we need to hear Black voices leading that discussion. So my friend and fellow artist, Dwight Trice, is going to do just that and lead a sincere and candid discussion regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, specifically as it pertains to the Kalamazoo arts community. Dwight, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening as well.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm doing okay. You are the one that might be a little frazzled. You just do a big move, didn't you?
Yeah, I moved down to North Carolina yesterday.
Congrats on that. I know it wasn't quite as smooth as you wanted it to be, but glad that you're there all safe and sound.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. On behalf of Farmers Alley, thank you for leading the way. Your outline and your questions were excellent, and I know you're going to lead a very sincere discussion tonight. So, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to you, my friend, and we leave our viewers in your excellent hands. And thank you so much again for being here.
Of course, thank you.
Thanks, Dwight.
So, hi, everyone. My name, as Jeremy said, is Dwight Trice. I am an actor in the Kalamazoo community, or I was, and I currently reside in North Carolina. But Kalamazoo arts has always been something that's been very near and dear to me. It's kind of how I found myself, and I love it, and I love the Black theater arts community in Kalamazoo. But yeah, we gotta have a discussion about some things. So I also wanted to thank Carrie Fisher, our producer, behind the scenes, Carrie Phillips, giving us kind of making sure everything runs smoothly. So I wanted to thank her. Yeah. So we are here tonight to promote some healing, to listen and to share, to encourage love in the theatrical community, specifically in the Black theater community of Kalamazoo. On this discussion panel tonight, my hope is for us to engage in an open and honest dialogue about the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole and discuss some of the systemic injustices against Black communities that has brought us to this powder keg that is 2020. But further, I also wish to delve into what the effects of the movement is having on theater as a whole. Theater professionals, volunteers, and the craft itself. Not only is the actual act of creating theater changing with the continued presence and restrictions of COVID-19, I truly believe that the culture of theater is going through a metamorphosis in terms of the support for BIPOC and the LGBTQIA+ representation in all levels of the creative process. And that brings me to my last topic. I want to discuss getting back to work and what that's going to look like moving forward in this new age of COVID restrictions, while we maintain and encourage intersectional and racially conscious theater. All right, so that was a lot of talking, but I want to go ahead and introduce some of our amazing panelists that we have for tonight. First up, this panelist has been involved in theater for about 25 years. She is a Los Angeles transplant and has been part of the Kalamazoo theater scene since studying and receiving her BFA in theater performance from Western Michigan University. She is a founding member of Faceoff Theater Company and has produced, directed, and performed at just about every theater in the greater Kalamazoo area. When she isn't using her influence to facilitate collaborations with places like Farmers Alley and the Queer Theater of Kalamazoo, she enjoys being a realtor and advocating for housing equity. Please join me in welcoming the superwoman herself, Marissa Harrington.
Did you call me a woman?
I did. You are.
You
Not
forever
only do you do
will
all
be
that,
one of my favorites.
You're also a mother, and
Yes.
you were just cooking dinner.
Yes, I was. You know,
that's
you
superwoman territory for me.
Here's the thing: the movement never stops. The work never stops. And, I'm one of those people that feels like, we are only as limited as we limit ourselves. And, I was telling my husband last night in response to a lot of the things that are going on in our country right now, as we are grieving yet another Black body that has been assaulted by the police, that, therapy for some of us is to get our hands dirty and to figure out where we can plug in and make a difference. So it's what it is.
I'm very excited to get to talk to you tonight.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
So next up, we have a panelist with whom you may not know, but you've probably enjoyed the fruits of his labor. He is a sound designer, composer, musician, and film enthusiast who works in various aspects of the arts community in Kalamazoo. When he isn't sound designing at Farmers Alley, he leads his band Basic Comfort and creates music and soundscapes for films locally and across the country. As if that isn't enough, he's also the co-owner of a brand new media production company called Texture House. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Mitchell.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm well. Good to finally get to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting. This is
my absolute pleasure.
Yeah. But yeah, I just started my company Texture House like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a journey.
How has that been? How exciting is that? How excited are you about that?
I'm very excited. It's a lot of stuff that I have been doing for a long time already. So the time at which I can like market myself, a business partner can market ourselves and our skills, and get clients, and build a kind of a brand for our own art, and just collaborate with and work with really talented people. So far it's been really well. Like within the first 4 hours of us dropping it, we already had like 2 clients. So that was really, really cool on our end. And
I love that. It's nice to be in charge, isn't it?
Yeah. That was really the catalyst, was like, the state of the world and, life as a Black man, really showed me that I need to take control of my own life. And, I build my own opportunities. No one else builds them for me.
There is no limit. The limit does not exist. Amen.
Exactly. Yeah. Me and Marissa resonate on so many different frequencies. So
I can't wait to pick your brain as well. All right. So next up, we've got a panelist that is currently an LA-based actor. She is earning her master's degree in acting at the University of California, Irvine. She is a graduate and holds a BFA in acting and a minor in psychology from Western Michigan University. She has worked at Faceoff Theater Company as a director and as an actor, as well as was featured as Emmy in Farmers Alley's production of A Doll's House Part 2. She, along with her colleagues at UCI School of Drama, have founded a new student organization called Students Mobilizing Change, whose goal is to make UCI and the Claire Trevor School of the Arts a more welcoming, safe, and equitable learning environment, which is something I think we can all get behind. Please welcome Marissa Staten.
Hi.
Hi there, Marissa. How are you tonight?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm blessed and highly favored.
Amen.
I'm very this student organization you guys you just founded. What was kind of like the inciting incident to get that going?
You know what happens when Black folks connect and get union on their side. You know what I'm saying?
Come on with it.
Right. So we were in communication with the marginalized communities at large within the Claire Trevor School of the Arts, and we talked about what change do we want to see, A, and B, how can we make that a long-term situation? So we went and said, oh, well, let's start meeting with some really powerful people and the people in positions of leadership in our department and start discussing how we can have led by students, for students, curriculum change.
I love that. It's important to see your peers working towards that same goal with you. I love that. The BSO at Kalamazoo College was one of the biggest and best organizations while I was there. It was so important to have a community of Black people, educated Black people working and striving towards the same goals. And I really commend you for starting that out at UCI.
Thank you.
Our final panelist is a Kalamazoo native. He is a versatile artist, activist, producer, and community organizer with a background in communications and business management. He recently formed Uplift Kalamazoo to combat local systemic racism with community action. As executive director of Uplift Kalamazoo, he believes the power of community will usher us all into a more tolerable, anti-racist society. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to introduce one of my favorite theater collaborators and one of my oldest friends, King Ryan.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I cannot complain, Dwight. I'm glad to be here, and I'm really glad that you are moderating for us.
I'm so happy of the same. So, please tell me, I know you and I have spoken before, even before I left Kalamazoo, you were talking about starting a collective organization. And what kind of things can we look forward to seeing Uplift bring to the community?
Oh man, so much. One of the things that made us come together and form Uplift was that we wanted to just take action ourselves. It's so easy to sit back and allow other people to come save us, but we wanted to really be present in the community and save ourselves. And so in the future, you're going to see a lot of things from us, a lot of community work, including community work centered around the arts.
I love that. That's so important. It's like I've said, visibility is one of the most important things when it comes to advocating change and inspiring people, because you're not going to want to get up and do something if you never see anyone who looks like you doing it. We have to carve these pathways out for future generations, and I'm very excited to have such powerful people on this panel. I just cannot stop smiling.
I just want to say real quick, I love all my friends. I just want to say that you guys are legit. Thank you.
Same goes for you.
Yeah, same.
This is a good panel. All right, so I actually want to go around a little bit, and I want to talk to each one of you about some of the organizations and things that you are a part of. I want to start off with Marissa. Talk to me a little bit about Faceoff Theater.
Sure. So Faceoff Theater Company was founded in 2015. We partnered with the Black Arts and Cultural Center, and the idea of it was to bring theater programming to the Kalamazoo community that was steeped in diversity and innovation. And the goal was to do that all year round. So it kind of evolved into not only theatrical programming, but also workshops, community panels. And we, in the past, I would probably say year or two, have really embraced art and activism. It was always there in our mission, but I think we really have become intentional about the work that we do, and understanding that there are things that need no one is telling, and we need to do that, and also create a safe space for artists of color in Kalamazoo. So that's who Faceoff Theater is. We are big on collaboration. So we have collaborated with Western Michigan University of Theater. We have collaborated with Kalamazoo College, currently collaborating with Farmers Alley Theater. We have collaborated with Queer Theater Kalamazoo. So, a large part of what we do is giving voice to the community and tapping into the community. So that's who we are.
Fantastic.
Oh, wait, I would also like to add,
Yes.
we were founded by 6 Black women. Those are our founders, 6 Black women.
Yes.
All graduates of Western Michigan University Theater. Between us, there are countless bachelors of arts degrees, bachelor of fine arts degrees, master's degrees, PhDs in progress. So I just want to lift that up too.
Mm-hmm. And I really want to exalt the power of Black women. It does not go recognized enough. The strength and the rich culture that you provide for the community is the backbone of the Black experience.
I
Period. End of
appreciate that.
story.
Thank you.
So, thank
I
you.
received that.
Take it all, girl. Yes.
I take it.
Lovely. So, Tony, Mr. Man,
Yes.
I would like to talk to you about being a young Black business owner. My man, that is
Yeah.
so fantastic. I know your company is new,
Mhm.
but talk to me a little bit about having a company in a field where there's not really a lot of Black men present, and how you're kind of forging your own pathway in this field. Talk to me about your company a little bit.
Yeah, I would say like I get a lot of inspiration from, my family members. Like my mom is a Black business owner, and my entire childhood from about middle school until now was watching her start her company from nothing to what it is now, which is relatively, pretty big for what she's done. And she's a business coach, and she's been coaching me since, I was in middle school to really take a hold of my life in her own way. She always says she was spoon feeding me to get to this point. And I really do feel like all that information she gave me set me up for success to really work in the field that I want. I mean, like what you're saying is like my industry, there aren't very many Black men, and there definitely aren't very many Black men who are the owners of their own company. So really, since we're at the very beginning stages, I'm just trying to set the foundation and set standards of who we want to work with, and the type of we want to produce. And it is all great, powerful, and outspoken content. So that I would say that's where I'm at now. It's forever evolving and forever changing, and just trying to ride the wave and be my best self and make sure our company is successful. Really,
I love that, and I am excited and happy and glad to support you in any way I can, because I think that's fantastic. We need more of us in this field.
Yeah, especially in especially in the audio world. I really you don't see very many Black people, just Black people in the audio world,
in tech and audio.
In tech, yeah. So I've always been a tech savvy person, so this was never a question for me why I do what I do. I just do it.
Yeah.
I never thought about being Black and being an audio engineer, but I happen to be Black and an
but because you
engineer.
got that support from your mother, another strong Black woman, pushing you were able to go into whatever you wanted to do, and I think that's fantastic.
It's I really have, my dad did a lot of supporting me and giving me lessons, but my mom is the person who was really behind me, just being like, don't think about what they're saying, just do you, and
amen,
that's all we need.
Good. All right. So I want to move on to Marissa. Hi, how are you?
Still good. We chilling.
So I want to talk to you about this student organization. You are the Students Mobilizing Change organization that you created. How long have you guys been around? What are you hoping to change in your school environment? Just talk to me a little bit about that.
We collectively got together probably, I would say maybe like a couple of months ago, maybe around June. And it got to a point where we were asking for so many things, and we were creating so many documents and initiatives. We were like, oh my God, we have to name this group of people that we created. So we came up with Students Mobilizing Change. And at this present moment, we've been pouring a lot of our energy into collaborating with other organizations on campus that seek to change the environment of Orange County and UCI as a whole, because not only do we live in this microcosm where we are the 3%, Black people only make up 3% of the student population here. So just imagining what those demographics look like in Orange County as a Black individual that has to live here. So most recently, we've been pouring our energy into this project entitled Breaking the Canon. And it challenges and interrogates what we define Western and American theater to be. Because the geographical reference of Western is an indication to just that. It's a geographical reference. So why is it that it only includes specific cultures in North America and Europe? Because the entirety of South America, the entirety of all the cultures that make up American theater is included in North America. And there are portions of Africa that have been very consciously excluded from the narrative from ancient times to now. And it's been such an accepted practice that it is now subconscious. And with all of these civil rights movements, responsible and compassionate and creative artists that are in the mode for change and progression of all stories, right? It is our responsibility to challenge and change these narratives and put the people who have been voiceless for so many years on the forefront of this.
Absolutely.
So it challenges, dismantles all of that, and goes far and deeply into what responsible pedagogy looks like when we're discussing the ugly truths of the past in the classroom, because we don't want to erase the history of the Black experience in America. But you should not, as BIPOC, LGBTQIA, marginalized in whatever way, feel unsafe at any moment when discussing and confronting this material.
100%. Yeah, Western colonialization has really kind of been, I mean, it has been the downfall of specifically the Black experience and erasure of our culture and our history. It is the root of it. It is where it came from. It's why we can't do Ancestry.com. You know what I mean? Like it really, and I applaud you for doing that work, because that is something that needs to be blown up in people's faces. They need to be aware. If you're not aware, get aware. Wake up, you know. So thank you.
I would also like to offer that the paper is going to be published on our own website, as well as the podcast that is accompanying it, interviewing students and teachers about their specific classroom experiences by next Friday, September 4th on smc-ctsa.org. Again, that's smc-ctsa.org.
Lovely. And we'll try to get that put up in the link down below so that people can save that and look for that as well.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you all for the work that you're doing and just for living your lives so strongly and so proudly. You're all just making me smile so much. I'm so proud of you all. So I want to go ahead and get into our first question. So ever since the tragic and pointless deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the countless displays of police brutality, the Black Lives Matter movement has become one of the biggest civil rights exhibitions since the 50s and 60s. We have seen marches, protests, numerous forums, panels like this one, etc. People have been charged and empowered to stand up and to do something. So my first question is really just a moment of reflection on the Black Lives Matter movement. I'd like to hear your thoughts and feelings on the movement as a whole and how we've gotten to this point, and kind of what you believe has been accomplished so far, specifically in the Kalamazoo community. So I will turn this over first to Marissa.
Before we do that, can we do Ryan's intro? I don't think we did Ryan.
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead. Ryan, King Ryan.
Also, yeah, let's go, because he would be the best person actually to start that question.
he really would be the best person to start that question.
First of all, thank you. Well, Uplift, I'll tie it right in together. Uplift, it was really organic. We just kind of came together. We found ourselves as young Black people, most of us millennials, taking to the streets every day. And I think I'm skeptical about calling this a movement. Right now, it seems like this is a reckoning. Every person is reckoning with who we've been, the things that we've allowed to go on for so long, the treatment and the plight of Black people in America specifically. We're reckoning with that. We're reckoning with our history. So for me, I think it really wasn't a choice. it felt like I was being pulled to the streets, and I was being, you show up at a protest and you don't hear the things being said that you need to be said. So you get on stage and you start saying those things. And I think all of us right now know what that's like. Me and Tony worked on a film, like Marissa is working on the play right now in the park. And then Azaria with her student organization, it's kind of just like we had to do it. I can't even watch those videos. The most recent one in Wisconsin, I'm tired of seeing those videos. All it makes me think about is me and how that could be me and that could be my family mourning. So I really think this is more than a moment. And with each murder that we see of an unarmed Black person who's simply trying to exist, the more we feel enamored to do work. And again, it's not a movement. It's up to us to, now that we're at this point and we're at this crossroads, really, if we want to see a societal shift, you have to do your part. Protest looks a lot different for everybody else, but I think George Floyd's murder, unfortunately, was the spark, and now it's up to all of us to keep the fire going.
I could not agree with you more. I think that an organization like Uplift is something that is so needed, and it's been wanted, in places like Kalamazoo, honestly, all over the country. But having a strong activist group, supporting art and Black artists and the Black experience is not, it's not something that is everywhere, and it needs to be. And I'm so happy that you brought that to Kalamazoo to give that a voice, to give that power and weight, and yeah. So, and I think you touched a little bit on that movement. So I would like to just go ahead and keep talking about. Let's keep talking about the Black Lives Matter, the reckoning, this state of our world, of our country. And I want to, I want to talk about the need for community, like you were just saying, how important it is for us to find affirmation in safe spaces, safe Black spaces. So we talk a little bit about that as well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Marissa.
Yeah, I can jump in there. As I was saying a little earlier when we were first hopping on the call, that I don't think that people understand that Black folks specifically, and I'm not saying that there's any other people of color that don't experience the trauma that we do. Mm-hmm. But to talk about this specifically, Black folks, when there's something that happens in the country, it happens to all of us. And I've literally had to have a conversation with my children, my 6-year-old going into first grade, my little boy, and my 11-year-old little girl going into about what just happened in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Talking to my husband, who's the young man that was just assaulted? What's his name? Jay?
Jacob Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Blake. So Jacob Blake was shot in front of his 3 children. And my husband has 3 children and was in tears a couple of nights ago because he said, that could have been me. As artists, the only way that we can really, not the only way, but one of the ways that we can process everything that's going on and speak out and voice to how we're feeling and the trauma is to create. And not only to create, but to provide a safe space for Black artists to even talk about this stuff.
Right.
B, to create a space where the community can come together and reflect on, talk about this stuff.
Yes.
It's the reason why Faceoff Theater, when we first started, we said, a large part of what we do is going to have to be community conversation. After every single show, let's bring the community together, because we have been very fortunate to have very diverse audiences. So let's bring the community together and let's talk about it.
Yes.
Let's, on a real level, not on Facebook, not on Instagram or Twitter, on a real level, let's sit in the same room with folks that look differently than we do.
Talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we do that, because change, you know how change can happen? You get people, in my opinion, you can get people in a theater where the guards are down.
Right.
And they're, they think they're there to be entertained. And then you go, oh, let me hit you right here in the heart. Oh, let's talk about it when the lights come up. Okay, after the curtain call, y'all wanna just, talk about what you just saw and how it's relevant to the community. So we have been doing that work, and that's why I say art and activism, because you people in a different way, you hit people in a creative way, to make them talk about this stuff, to make them think about this. Hopefully that will lead to change in our communities.
Right. We have to start putting the words out there so people can hear them, so we can get people engaged and let them know that there's a place to talk about it, that there's a place to start inciting activism. The spaces that you and King Ryan are providing are essential to us moving forward. Without them, we have nothing. So amazing. I guess, Aricia, I would like to ask you, how do you think, what with your organization that you're doing, I think that's a fantastic way to keep like intensity going and to keep people thinking about what is happening. And I love that paper that you're about to publish. How do you think you can encourage change and continue to fight systemic oppression and not let things go back to how they were?
Yes, I can offer some insight regarding that, specifically as it relates to A, in an academic community, and B, in a space as a minority, just because that's where I resonate currently as in my reality right now. I've been in a lot of discussions that have helped me talk about how important it is to normalize Black joy, Black rest, and Black affinity community, because arguing and defending your right to exist and discussing the systemic and continued oppression, slavery, and imprisonment of you, your ancestors, and your future generation is exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
It's exhausting. And when you argue with people constantly or defend that constantly, it's deteriorating your spirit. So in order to keep this movement going, and this goes for the same of our allies, I encourage you to, but particularly for our Black community, the moments that make you smile, no matter how small that be, the wind blowing on your face, the enjoyment of your skin glowing in the sun, a flower that you smell, normalize relishing in those beautiful moments. Normalize taking a nap. Normalize saying, I don't have the space to have this conversation with you right now. Go seek your resources. Normalize coming together as community just to say, I love you, or meditate, baby. Okay.
I do fear that with everything going on, we have become desensitized to just, like you said, enjoying the moment, enjoying life. People are always questioning our ability and our reasoning for being here, for just existing, and I can't do it.
That is because our trauma has been normalized for consumption.
Okay.
And
all
we
right.
have
Speak
had
on
to
it.
adjust accordingly. And we need to, in order to be able to continue this and unite effectively, we need to acknowledge that.
Yes.
My trauma, why is it normal that you get to watch somebody being murdered on TV in front of their children, and the first thing that you ask is, well, he was going for a knife. You just normalized and my trauma and murdering of and my entire people for your consumption. Okay, that's not okay. So deal with that however that needs to be dealt with for your own spirit.
And what you're saying, and what Marissa has already said too, is that when we feel these things, we don't just feel them individually. We feel them as a people. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Elijah McClain, when that young man died, I felt that in my spirit, like deep in my bones. This gentle soul doing nothing wrong, gunned down as a child, and it's just like it is hard to talk about. And normalizing trauma is something that we have to fight. It cannot be okay. It cannot be taught. People cannot just sit there and let that happen. So Ryan, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, I love what the lady said, and I think it ties into the same thing that art. When we look at art, right, it's a shared experience. Most times, it's meant to be, and art is already meant to be subjective, and so it has that communicative power that we need when we're fighting for social justice and fighting for social change. Things just slap a little differently sometimes when they're coming through the channel of art. And I think that right now we're in this place where we're fighting for so much space, specifically within the arts community, because we need that lens to amplify our voice so that to not, when we talk about trauma, how visible our trauma is and how present it is in media and how people profit off of it. And so when we talk about needing space in art, it's so that we can reclaim our story and that we can reclaim our voice and use our art to amplify our voice and how important that is for this moment. And exactly what she said, the value in that.
Mm-hmm. There's a value in having, like you said, amplifying our art, encouraging Black directors, Black artists, Black singers, Black writers, Black composers to do what they do and tell our story. You said, I love what you said, reclaiming our narrative, reclaiming our story, making it our own again. Has any of the Black Lives Matter movement like come through in your work as far as like composing or with your writing music kind of across, the board?
Yeah, I would 100% say yes. Like, especially I think the platform that Marissa and Ryan have been setting up for me in my life in the past like few months has really elevated the conversations that I'm trying to have in my own music and have with the people that surround me. Like you have Ryan and Marissa who are creating space to start a conversation.
Yes.
And as my job as an artist is to echo the conversation that's being had, to amplify the conversation that's being had, because the audience that listens to me is a lot wider and a lot more diverse that aren't the people who would normally be having these conversations, especially in the type of music that I create, which is, it's more in that poppy, like indie rock, sci-fi style of music. The audience that normally listen to that style of music, they're a lot more closed off. They don't know much about the Black experience. They don't know much about people. They don't hear music that I'm creating coming from someone like me very often. So I find myself in a situation, not forcing myself, but like making myself collaborate with people like Marissa and Ryan so that I can better understand my own story. Because
there's a direct corollary between our disconnect from our history and our story and the need to create art. We're missing something, so we have to create something.
Exactly.
So I love what you said about how that has affected your art.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, when like what Arizia is saying about like connecting with trauma, like really, like I don't think us as understand what trauma really is on a personal level, and on like if you don't understand it on a personal level, then how can you ever understand it when it's happening to an entire community of people?
Talk about it.
You know what I mean? So like, in my art, before all of this really hit my whole thing was trying to address trauma. That like in every song that I've ever written, it has to do with some sort of trauma and overcoming or accepting or dealing with that trauma. You know, so I think we're really at this point now where we have to not only be having the conversation of the Black experience, but we have to have this conversation of what is your trauma.
I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on forward. I love this conversation. I could talk about this for hours, but let's keep going. On to my next question. So I want to talk about theater and kind of what that looks like right now. COVID-19 has had an effect on just about every aspect of modern American life. It has changed where and how we can eat and shop. Masks have become the newest summer accessory, and schools and workplaces have had to become very inventive with digital means of communication. So not only are we battling systemic oppression and institutionalized racism, but now we have to do it while being 6 feet apart. So the question I want to pose to you all is, how do we go about ensuring our seat at the table in regards to BIPOC representation and leadership in theater while dealing with COVID restrictions? I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to King Ryan first to start us off with.
That's a good question. Honestly, that's like such an easy thing for us as Black people. We've always had to be so creative. We've always had to be 2 steps forward and so inventive with the way we present ourselves and present our business, and specifically with how we present our art. So I feel like this is a good moment for us to amplify the thing. When Marissa's talking about having those conversations, what she's not saying is that Faceoff has only ever had those conversations. They've only ever had those talkbacks after the show. You know what I mean?
Amen now.
So like, we've already been going around the corner to make ourselves seen. We've already been pushing a rock up a hill. So
Yeah,
we were made for moments like this.
Half as much, but
yeah, we were made. What, they gave us the scraps of the pig. We seasoned it up, add a little Lawry's, and now it's a delicacy. We call it. You get what I'm saying? It's a delicacy.
Right.
So that's all we've ever known. They give us the scraps and we make it a delicacy. And so right now we have an opportunity, and you're literally seeing it right here in Kalamazoo right now. You're going to see it one more time in the park on Saturday when you get another opportunity to see Three Little Birds. We're rising to the occasion because that's all we've ever had to do. That's all we've ever known. Hard work. Let's go. We don't got time to sit around ever and contemplate if it's going to be okay. We just hit the ground running. So we're prepared for this, period.
Literally, no one has time for that. No one has time to just sit around. Like, we like
this is the moment to be charged.
I can't even do it.
What are we doing?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, that was great. Aricia, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I low-key forgot the question, though, and I want to have a direct response.
Can I jump in on it really quick, though?
Please,
and Aricia, I want you to weigh on this too. So here's the thing that I've been wrestling with, honestly, super transparent, for the past several weeks.
Yes.
Is, do I want a seat at the table or do I want my own table?
My own table, yes, right?
I don't think I want to sit at your table.
That time is maybe come and gone. I think that time is past.
I don't want to sit at your table and you looking at me sideways and talking to me all awkward.
And I'm still gonna have to explain everything to you anyway because you don't want to do the work.
You don't feel like I belong. I'm uncomfortable. I don't feel like it's a safe space.
But you speak
so I'm
well.
there. But I speak so well and I fit in because you allowed me at your table.
So
this is
and they're going to allow you to do a whole lot of work at that table too. Whole lot of work at that table.
For free. For free.
Yeah.
I'm running with this the past few weeks. Full transparency. I'm 37. I'm starting not to have a lot of patience for stuff. And I would rather create my own safe space to be able to operate in and not have to feel like not have to feel anything. You know what I mean? Anything other
to just
than
be,
to just be, right? I'm way past, you know, I feel like in my 20s as an artist, you know, well, I've been doing this since I was 12. Mm-hmm. So I will say my early teens into my 20s, I feel like I have spent a large part of my career as an artist trying to fit in, trying to
that's the culture that has been set. That's been the culture this entire time. You have to find your way in because you're already in the back because of the color of my skin.
And you still, but still not getting opportunities because it has to be given to you. Uh-huh. It has to be convenient for what we're doing in our season. What we feel like we're ready for right now. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to sit on our board, but you're gonna be the only one, and we kind of don't want you to speak out about a whole bunch of stuff. We just want you here, right? I've spent way too much time as an artist and as an activist in that space. To now, I'm looking at 40, going, well, I mean, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. I don't feel like being uncomfortable. I don't feel like, you know, placating myself. I don't feel like assimilating. I don't feel
because it's been too long. It's been too much of that already. I don't feel like it anymore.
I don't want to.
I don't use that up. It's gone.
You've exhausted me. You've exhausted me.
I came up in LA going on auditions, and the only thing that was available to me was a quirky, clueless girl next door, best friend to the main character, crackhead,
villain, whore, yeah,
whore.
Yeah.
Those were or vixen, right? Those were, as a Black woman coming up in film and theater in Los Angeles, those were the only roles that were available to me. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to. I'm over it. I'm done. I don't see the two. Well, thanks.
Yeah. And I 100% echo that, and I feel that 10,000%. Marissa, would you like to add to Marissa?
Oh my God, I have so many thoughts.
I knew you would.
Yes, and the thing that I feel like a lot of allies in the theater industry and in the world lack to understand that your perpetuation of continued oppression is racism.
It just is.
I'm not sorry. It just is, right? So if you're confused about that, if you care, you need to reflect and analyze your actions in the past, what you're doing now, and your biases that influence all of the decisions that you make. Yeah, I agree. Throw the whole table away. I don't and once I present something that we could all feast on together and collectively thrive, when you get your stuff together, baby, then we can sit down and eat together.
I love that. I couldn't have said it better myself. Yes, amen. I think you're right. I think it's an instance of just kind of, at this point, it's just us. We got to do it. And when things are better, maybe we can talk about collaborating again. But I think there needs to be a charge in Black art and creating our own spaces, because we've worked so long in their spaces and there's been no change. There's been no added benefit to us placating ourselves and doing what they asked us to do. We still get the best friend casting. We still get the prostitute casting. You're still going to be homeless man number 5 in the background, in the back picking squash. You know what I mean? It's it's been my entire most of my career. So I feel you on that. So let's just keep pushing right on ahead. There's been many theaters out there that have been very vocal about their support for this time, for Black people during this time, and they're taking action even during quarantine to show their support in tangible ways. I just kind of want to talk about maybe how we call out performative allyship in those spaces, and how are we going to move forward holding them accountable? Is it, like you said, a full on just they're on their own and we're focusing on us, and they, because in that regard I feel like it might just continue to perpetuate itself until like we become two separate entities forever, which but how do we call them out? How do we hold them accountable without creating a defense mechanism? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to placate someone else's feelings, but I want people to hear us. So I'm going to turn this over to Tony to start us off with that one.
Oh, okay. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have a good response.
It's a big question.
It's a big question. And I feel like my job is always in the back seat of the car being like, well, we should probably do this, but no one's going to listen to me anyways. I'm just the audio engineer.
But they should. We need to amplify that voice because you have, without what you do, there's no art on stage. There's no sound. They can't, like, I would never ever want anyone to downplay the tech aspects of any production. Without it, it does not happen. You're in the dark with nothing to look at, nothing to listen to.
I'm so happy you're saying that because I don't think that a lot of people see that sometimes. So and it's just the truth. I mean, it's just the truth. And it's a hard truth, but it is a real truth. You just do. People do not
your tech people.
People do not listen. People don't like. I've been telling you what to do this whole time, and it's the day of the show, and you're just now realizing it. Like that, there's some problems. There's some legitimate problems. I don't know if it's because I'm Black or is this because I'm an audio engineer. So, it could be a little bit of both. So I think changing. What I say is build your own table.
Yes.
I have built my own table and I will be self-sufficient. If you need help, I will step in and help you for a charge. You know what I mean? But I am not a part of your organization.
Know your worth and add tax.
Exactly. No, but exactly though. You know what I mean? Like that's how I can separate from having to deal with, people who don't see me for me, people who aren't going to hear me for my value. So I put a price on it and I'm like, this is what I'm worth. Either you can step up to it or I'll just keep doing what I've been doing this whole time around. And you can keep making the same mistakes that you've been making. And it's a hard truth, but it's a real truth.
It's only hard if you don't want to listen. Yep. King Ryan, do you have anything to add before we move on to our next question?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think we combat performative allyship directly. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything, but I don't have no more time to beat around the bush. I don't have no more time to wrap it up and make it cute for you. I don't have time to invest the emotional labor it takes. Like right now, like let it be acknowledged. We don't want to spend our nights on somebody else's platform discussing our trauma. I think we've been talking about these things. We've been trying to come up with ways to change white space. We've been there. So while we absolutely must build our own, because as we've always known, we can show you better than we tell you. And when we tell you, you don't listen. Mm-hmm. So if you want me to come into your business, if you want me to come into your home and you want me to invest my time and my energy into you, I'm charging you. No more free consultation. It's not advice trying to make you better. It's consultation. And we know how much to charge for it, period. There is a role to play for allies, but be very clear, like, all Black people are not your history teacher. Google works for you just like it works for us. Everybody has a responsibility to build an anti-racist society, to eliminate anti-Black bias. That we didn't create this problem. That don't just fall on us to fix it. We're building the power to be in a position to make change on an expansive level. Y'all already got it. So if you want me to come over there and change your infrastructure to teach you how to do the things that love of your fellow Americans should have already taught you, you're going to have to pay me, or you can come and apply to work at my table.
I hear that.
Can I speak really quick on performative active?
Please do, yes.
So here's the thing, because there might be some people watching that don't know what we mean when we say performative allyship.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to speak on that really quick. It is the appearance of allyship. It is the appearance. You say all the right things. You try to do all the right things. But the heart and the intent is not right. Performative allyship. You say that you're an ally, but when it really comes down to the nitty gritty,
when push comes to shove, where are you?
Comes to shove, you have no white organization. You have no one of color in leadership. You have no one color staff. You have very minimal people of color on your board. You don't have anyone or very minimal people of color in your audiences. You do 1 to 2 Black shows a year.
If that.
If that. And then we want to say that we're allies. So performative allyship means you say all the right things and you think you're doing all the right things. We have a diversity statement, a diversity rider that we put on our auditions. However, when you look at the website of the organization, I don't see nobody that looks like me. You haven't called me to hire me. And I have a whole butt.
And as we can see, over here, there are people, Kalamazoo is filled with people of color who want to do this, who are educated, who are talented, who are willing to do the work if they are respected. I don't understand how people can sit in a room and say, well, no one came to audition. Well, no one applied. That's you are not trying to reach out to your community that you serve.
They didn't know about it to apply or to audition or to show up. They don't know about it, you know? Right. And I think
they know about it and it's not a safe space and be there.
I think that's the biggest part. It's not a safe space. Like, you know, you might even know about it, but am I gonna feel awkward or uncomfortable in the audition room when I'm there? Am I gonna feel awkward? I'm backstage late at night, or like, you know, like there's so many levels to that. Like people aren't hearing us. People really just they are not hearing us at all.
And now at this point, continue. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and the act of, and even if it isn't us, that's the basis. When you start implementing people who look like us, when you completely dismantle the crap that you were doing that doesn't work, that's another form of making a table that's not just for you anymore.
So this is the right conversation to be having right now, because I think people don't, like you said, they're not hearing us and they haven't been hearing us. So now you don't get us anymore. And I think it's time for us to create our own art and moving forward. So like I said, moving forward, I want to talk about getting back to work and in these spaces that we're talking about. Colorblind casting ain't gonna cut it no more. I'm so excited to work for a company in a theater that casts its shows by being racially conscious instead of adhering to the antiquated notion that they can't see the color of my skin. But it's not going to be easy. So I think we need to have a big focus on intersectionality and racially conscious theater. What do you hope to see at I mean, obviously in spaces that you guys we are creating, intersectionality and racially conscious theater are going to be at the forefront of what y'all are doing. But how do we keep those other spaces up to date? Like, how do we make sure that we're not just leaving them completely behind, or are we just going to leave them completely behind?
You need Black folks in leadership. That's you would need a whole anti-racist organization.
Exactly.
That is the only way. There is no way to get around it. There are shortcuts. Anything less than an anti-racist organization where every level of your organization represents the actual community that you serve Anything less than that is performative.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a perfect way to state it. They really do.
I agree completely.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree completely. Like, we don't need to see you playing musical chairs with older cisgender white men anymore. You really need to come up off of that idea and step away from that patriarchy and really open the door to not only Black leaders, specifically Black women leaders are needed right now. And we all need to take a step back and allow them to lead in every meaning of that word. Like, literally, if they're leading, that means we're prepared to follow.
Yes.
And that's a lot of work that has to be done. But I also think what that means is this: if we don't have a true voice in your space, it's not a safe space. What Marissa just said. If we don't have not only a seat at that table, but multiple people in positions of power so that infrastructure can be built up, so it's no longer acceptable to say they didn't know, or, we're cool getting these grant money, writing these grants for inclusion and representation, but we're going to stop it there once we get the money, and we're not going to actually do the deeper work to figure out what do those words mean and what do they look like in our space, and who is it that is best equipped to help us define those words that we've left undefined for hundreds of years.
Exactly. And that it means, like you said, getting Black leadership, adults who can sit there and talk to you. Do not ask a child. Do not talk to someone who is not in this field. Your Black friend Susie, who is an accountant, she's not the one to talk to about this. Sorry, you need to talk.
Yeah, we have five grown adults from different sectors of life. Yes, we're all Black and vocal and artists, but we're also equipped to have this conversation. And it's a cop-out when you get a 10-year-old child, Civic, to be responsible to address these issues that, if you're listening to us, you would know even we struggle to address. So you don't put that pressure on a child who should be allowed to be a child.
Right.
Especially when, as we've also addressed, we need to address, and there's more than enough people capable of sitting on your panel.
Right. And like I've said, and we have all shown, there are ample, educated people who are here and want to do this work and want to see this change happen at all forms of education, of theater, of business, of science. I want to see Black people everywhere. Like, I'm tired of people saying that we have an agenda, this, that, the other. Yeah, we do. My agenda is to be everywhere. I want to go into a store. I want to go to the doctor. I want to go to the vet. I want to go to the theater. And I want to see Black people in everything. Asian people, Latino people, everyone. And it's time. It's past time. So I do want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about kind of collaborations and things that we have been doing with other people. I know that you guys are doing a production of Three Little Birds right now in a collaboration with Faceoff Theater, Uplift, and Farmers Alley. Talk to me a little bit about how that's been going, about what you guys have discovered in this kind of transitory period of COVID and theater and what that looks like. I know you have some more shows and stuff too coming up, so I want to talk about that as well. So
we have one more. Yeah, we have one more set of shows this coming Saturday. And for me, for us at Faceoff Theater Company, we have been involved in several collaborations since our inception, and you learn, just as you learn with anything. When you have something new, you learn how you want it to go. You learn what's important. You learn where to place priorities. And so, as we were going into this collaboration with Farmers Alley Theater, a priority for Faceoff Theater Company, as I will again reiterate, is all Black women, was to have our voices involved in every aspect of the production. in stage management and costuming and props, the whole creative team, the director, the music director, the choreographer, all Black women.
Mm-hmm.
So the artist that did our backdrops, Black man. Like, it was very important for us to, when you think about the word collaboration, I'm a very visual person. And so what I see in my head, I see this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Walking together.
That's what it should be. That's what it always should be. I think a lot of times when you do collaborations, you have a lot of this going on. And so we were very intentional with our conversations with Farmers Alley, and then roping in, Uplift Kalamazoo, that this had to be a true collaboration. It had to be a community experience. It had to be something that was for the community. It's not for Faceoff. It's not for Farmers Alley. It's you know what I'm saying? It's for all of us.
Well, like you said, it's intention. It has to be, the intention has to be true.
And guess what? Intention takes work. It takes work. You at every moment have to think about every step that you're taking. At every moment you have to be, okay, so is this inclusive? At every step. There were certain decisions that we were making that, we had to be extremely wise about and intentional about. And I'm not going to get political on here, but we had to be wise and intentional and go, nope, that's not wise. We're not going to do that.
Right. What
we're going to do is this over here. Right. So it is the first time that I have felt, that Faceoff Theater had an equal voice in a collaboration.
That's a good feeling.
You know what I'm saying? Where we can go, we know that we're the young theater in town. We know. We know that we don't have the resources that a lot of the other theaters in town have. We know that, it doesn't mean anything like, we're not short on talent or anything like that. But, in terms of resources, we don't have the $1.6 million budget.
Right.
So, collaborations have been helpful for us, but I have learned that it doesn't matter what our resources are. Our voice at the table, we're talking about at the table, our voice is just as valid. Our requests are just as valid.
And it's a different feeling when that happens than when someone's saying, "Okay, Marissa, thank you so much." Like
right.
you understand it.
And then you look up and you go, "Well, didn't I say that we?" You know what I'm saying? It's a totally, and I've experienced that before, so it's a totally different thing. So I will say that I'm very thankful. It has been so refreshing. The collaboration has been refreshing. I was even more excited when Uplift Kalamazoo came to be a part of this, to include Black businesses as a part of this thing that we're doing, because it's not just about the show. It's not just about, everybody coming and getting entertained and going home. It's about the community. That's why we made it free. That's why we have taken it to the public parks, so that they're accessible. They're on bus lines and bus routes, and people can walk. You know what I mean? Like, we wanted this to truly be something for the community. So I have been very thankful for the collaboration. And no collaboration is without, bumps and hiccups and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But in terms of being able to really say, hey, we really had a hand in this. We really feel like, we were able to have a voice in this collaboration. I can say that about this experience. And, the result is something really beautiful.
I love that.
Really,
I'm really sad I am not able to see it. Because I've seen little clips and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it looks so good. How was yeah, I mean, I know a few of them. I know you got some good people. How has are people receptive? I mean, I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice and refreshing to have some theater to be able to go and see. And I know you're keeping everyone safe with social distancing. And your cast is divine and phenomenal. So there's no reason to not go out and see them.
Right.
This weekend?
Yep. This weekend is the last weekend at 4 and 7. And I can honestly say that as part of the creative team and who we have on the cast, we have the best of the best in Kalamazoo as a part of this collaboration. I mean, Tony's doing our sound.
I was gonna say.
I be in Tony's ear like, hey, so I can't hear. Can you move? I didn't, I am annoying. I am an annoying director.
We've been working.
But it's because, everything that we're trying to do is in excellence. Always, always pushing for excellence. And that means never settling ever, right?
Ever.
So
No. Each show gets better. Every show is better than the last show.
Oh my God, I got to work with these people. I feel so lucky. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The last show.
Oh my God.
The last show on Saturday last week. That was
so good.
That was
so
special.
I think there's something to say about our voice, our stories being told and being able to draw a crowd, because I know sometimes that's a concern, is that people feel like, we won't draw a crowd.
Mm-hmm. We draw
all
big
the crowds,
some loud crowds. So lovely. So I think we're getting to the end of our time. I want to go ahead and give you guys each a moment to say one last thing before we call it a good night. I will go ahead and start with King Ryan. Maybe I'll start with Aricia.
Stay informed, do your research. Allies, reflect, hold yourself accountable. Black people, find solace, rest, and joy, and unite.
I love that. Thank you. Tony?
To all the, artists and Black collaborators out there, you have the ability to create change in your life and just go after it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't doubt yourself. Just do it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've been trying to overcome and do and come to realizations of, is like that my potential is already there. Like I can outdo the potential that I see in myself. So I think you guys, everyone who's listening should understand that. And even to the people who are trying to be allies, like you see yourself as right now can be so much more, and all it takes is work. It's all it takes is work.
All it takes. Thank you. Marissa?
We don't have enough time for everything that I want to say. Let me condense.
Donna, condense.
I will say, that's real talk. I will say, be comfortable with giving up power and control. Trust the BIPOC artists and people in your circle, in your lives, because all that you have to gain is better work, more diverse work, excellent work. That's what do you have to lose? Give up the power that you feel like you have, give up the control, give up, let go of the fear, whatever that is. And we know what it's rooted in, but let go of the fear to open up a world of better art, just better, because you have, like I was saying earlier, you have a truly diverse, anti-racist institution, and understand that we are done. It is 2020. We are done with the crumbs. We are done with the scraps. I love chitlins, but we're done with the chitlins. We're done. We want the same ownership. We want the same respect. We want the same acknowledgement.
of our art and our work and our education and our experience. We want the same, or we're not dealing with you. And that's real talk. Done. We're done. We are done. It has got to be a situation where you will not allow your institution to continue to perpetuate a space that is not safe. And you have got to make really hard decisions, because it's not going to be easy, y'all. Being an anti-racist is not easy. It's hard work. It's uncomfortable, but it is necessary if you truly consider yourself to be an ally. And please don't think that the small little steps you think you making is good enough. It's not good enough. You are either 100% in this with us, or you are not. There is no 25%. There's no 35, 45. There's no 75%. You're either in this with us or you are not. And we are not taking anything less than 100%. You treat us like we're equal. There is true equity at the table. There is true diversity and inclusion at the table, or there's nothing. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you for saying that. I was going to let King Ryan give his goodbye, but I think there might be a little technical difficulty happening. So I will go ahead and thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. I have been so excited to have this conversation for so long. I'm so happy that we were able to come together. I was able to meet two more amazing artists and makers of art. And I think we really talked about a lot of important things tonight. So I want to thank you for bringing your knowledge and your experience and sharing yourselves with us for free. This work was not easy. It is not going to continue to be easy. It is going to be arduous and hard, but I'm so happy that such intelligent, strong people are charged with this change. So thank you from me to you, to each of you. I would like to end with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. This matters. Black lives matter. Black artists matter. Black voices matter. Use this life that you've been given and these voices that we all have, and I want you to stand up for what is right. I hope the words of these panelists have moved you to join in on this reckoning, to stand with us or get out of our way. I want you to advocate for change and a better tomorrow. And remember to go vote in November. So that's all I have.
Really though, just go vote.
Please go
really
vote.
Go vote.
Please. Yeah.
So that's all I have for you guys tonight. I want to thank you again for everyone tuning in and for all of our amazing panelists. Have a good night.